there's a ground zero in this recession, it's the shopping mall.
Do I feel scared? Yeah.
Even before real trouble began elsewhere, economists were saying the mall is dead. They were the ultimate shopper's paradise, the cornerstone of every suburb. Now the bloom is off those retail roses.
This is where I spent my childhood, and now it's gone to rack and ruin.
Like ghost towns in the Old West, plazas are empty and echoing now. But are mall developers crying in their fountains? Not a bit of it.
Is that great or what?
They're packing up their dream palaces and heading east.
Shopping malls want more and more consumers.
I'm Anne-Marie McDonald. On this Doc Zone, a trip inside monuments to conspicuous consumption. Malls are us. Is something missing in your life? Maybe it's time to head to the mall. The North American Suburban Shopping Center was created to embody the best that life can offer. The mall replaced the town square as the place to meet. It became central to how we spent time and what we dreamed of. But the places we thought would live forever may be part of a dying breed. The story of the traditional American mall is now a tale of parched fountains, vacant food courts, and changing tastes. There's a deep emotional connection between individuals and their malls. But malls are built for profit and designed to entice. All over the world, the seductive power of the mall is just beginning to emerge.
I never dreamed that we would be building all over the planet.
Mall makers claim they are building 21st century monuments for emerging economies, where abundance will replace poverty and dust. Malls offer the promise of something better. But as shopping centers spread globally, do they promote the good life or just rampant consumerism? Entrepreneur Ruben Stahl is traveling to the site of his future mega mall, a 331-acre patch of forest he wants to transform into an environmentally themed retail park.
Religion, heritage. I pray every morning. Really, I do the whole ritual.
Today in North America, in spite of our collective devotion to shopping, it takes almost religious zeal to get a new shopping center off the ground. Ruben's project is no fly-by-night idea. A veteran of the mall business, he's been dreaming of this venture for the last 17 years.
The malling of America is all mulled out. This is the last piece of land. Now, is that dramatic? You're going to see that on the freeway where we exist.
Potential investors are nervous about the scheme, and for good reason. Traffic at malls is falling off as soaring food and fuel costs, combined with sinking stock markets, are cutting into the purchasing power of consumers everywhere. Many are buying closer to home or looking for bargains online. In the US, the number of store bankruptcies is climbing off the charts. In 2005, only 5 malls were built in America. In 2007, there was just 1. Headwinds from the US are sending dark clouds over Canadian consumers and retailers alike. Consumer confidence is at its lowest point since 1995.
Anyways, we'll see what happens. Okay?
No surprise there's less money for shopping in malls. Ruben wasn't always swimming against the tide. He made his reputation in the booming 80s as creative genius behind one of the largest malls in the world, the West Edmonton Mall, where shopping and spectacle combine for fun and profit.
Think of the magnitude of 111 eateries in a mall. 836 stores. 836 stores at one mall. It's unheard of. And nobody even had a merry-go-round in the mall. I mean, the closest thing to having any amenity was a bubblegum machine. But there was no end to what we wanted to do. To keep them in the mall for as long as we can. The longer they stay, now we're getting into business, the more they spend. Because the end result is shopping.
The public's infatuation with enclosed malls first began to wane in the 1990s. Discount shops, factory outlet stores, and more recently, stylish open-air plazas have taken a huge chunk out of profits. Today, hundreds of traditional shopping centers are gasping for life. Randall Park was the world's biggest mall in 1976. Now, it's dead. Malls like this dot the American landscape, drawing mourners like Pete Blackbird and his friends, self-described retail historians. When Pete was only 11 years old, he walked into a mall that was heading fast into bankruptcy. The shock of seeing a once thriving mall on the verge of collapse prompted an obsession.
I got my license and I started driving around, and every exit that had a mall that was struggling. And I realized it was a nationwide thing. When you first get there, there's this once powerful structure, and you're standing there and you feel this big, and I think that's the way you were supposed to feel when it was working, and you still feel that way. To me, it beckons. It's this thing that I have to go up and peer into the windows. I have to get inside.
In 1999, Pete and his friend Brian Florence launched the website deadmalls.com, sharing their photos and observations. It wasn't long before they were inundated with emails and photos from hundreds of others throughout North America, all wanting to commiserate about dying malls. The traditional mall was once part of the American dream, where community, comfort, and capitalism could come together, all under one roof.
We're in suburban Minneapolis at the Garden Court of the Southdale Regional Shopping Center. Here, springtime is perpetual because the center has year-round air conditioning and because its contemporary version of the Old Town Square is covered by a roof.
The man credited with inventing the enclosed shopping mall was a fervent socialist and utopian thinker. Victor Gruen, an architect and refugee from Nazi-occupied Austria, missed the cafes and boulevards of his beloved Europe. He imagined malls as centers of communal life in soulless American suburbs, where the pursuit of happiness would be number one, and even the problem of parking could be solved. Malls were like magnets, and soon became America's most popular and profitable suburban destination. During the 1970s and 80s, a new enclosed mall opened somewhere in America every 3 or 4 days, no matter the demographics. Frenzied shoppers couldn't get enough of the mall, breaking down doors to scramble for bargains. It was enough to give filmmaker George Romero nightmares. His cult classic, Dawn of the Dead, satirized our obsession with shopping.
This is our society gone mad.
I'm afraid. Why do they come here?
Some kind of instinct, memory, what they used to do. This was an important place in their lives.
Ironically, John Jurdy, one of the world's most renowned mall architects, hates shopping, but he thinks malls serve a higher purpose.
America, strangely, is a very lonely place. Look up and down the streets. There's nobody there. I grew up as a very lonely kid. No brothers and sisters, uncles and aunts, and moved around the country very often and didn't really establish much of a community life. From that loneliness and my interest in architecture, and I said, well, I want to do something for lonely people. So I said, I'll go do shopping centers.
After conquering the suburbs, Jurdy set his sights on America's dying downtowns. He believed the mall could work its magic by drawing people back to blighted inner cities.
I mean, these malls are more like a park. You come, you know, you can bring the kids and you're still in the sun and...
Yeah. I'll travel for a good store. I like the different colors and the layout's totally different.
It's gotta have some originality in it.
I want to go check out those shirts.
A mall may not look much like a church, but social critic and professor of religion John Paul believes the similarities are striking.
Malls pick up vestiges of religious symbolism. Water is used in almost every mall to help one go with the flow of shopping. There are fountains, waterfalls, streams, little water flowerets, all designed to communicate the religious symbolism of water, which is purification. Mall designers ingeniously integrate this profound symbol. I mean, we're made of water. We need water. We can't live without it. Same thing's true of the way light gets used in shopping malls. Light is energy. And so at the center of most malls, there will be a skylight that has really bright, intense light that communicates that this is some special place that's set apart. They tend to have high ceilings in ways that evoke the experience of many churches, that make people feel small. By having trees in malls, architects and designers are saying this is a place where you can grow, where you can become a better person, where you can even live eternally, because none of the trees in malls ever die. So the promise is that we can be safe, we can gain a sense of transcendence beyond our fragility. But at some point you have to ask, where are the limits to that? And is life really abundant at a deep level if we're just accumulating stuff?
Malls hold out the promise of a safe, secure environment, but there are tight controls. In most malls, like this one in Paris, not everyone is welcome.
I'm nul. Oui, 100% 3. Ici, s'il peut nettoyer les tags, hein, il faut qu'il les nettoie. S'il ne les nettoie pas, on appelle la police directe. Hein. Ok. Bon. Allô, remonte par là. Allez, remonte. Tout ça. Remonte.
Everybody knows that everybody at the mall is there to shop. And if you disrupt that conformity, you're disrupting something that at some level people hold as sacred. And therefore it's a threat to the bottom line, which is finally the retail bottom line of sales and profits.
But as sales and profits tank in North America, retailers are exporting the seductive power of the mall to far-flung markets where luxury knows no bounds.
The whole world wants the liberties and freedoms that we take for granted. Right now, you follow the money.
From the Middle East to Eastern Europe and Asia, the shopping mall is booming. The mall is precisely the kind of safe, controlled retail destination that privileged consumers in emerging economies seem to be seeking. Refined and secure shopping experiences far removed from the have-nots in their societies.
どれ？あ、これめちゃめちゃ、後付けじゃない。これだけで買ったで。
American-born architect Eric Kuhn is a true believer in spreading the power of retail to the world.
The constellation of projects we have now are just magnificent. Asia, Northern Asia, Central Asia, Southeast Asia, the Middle East, Europe, Eastern Europe, a resort lake development in Kazakhstan, a city for 700,000 people on the northern end of the Arabian Gulf for the Emir of Kuwait. And tucked into it is retail that stitches all of that together. These are projects where people are asking the questions that maybe only monarchs and the church and the aristocracy used to ask. How do you capture the ethos of a culture and represent that in the very cities that we live in? And we feel we're part of that today. I grew up in Texas on Air Force bases scattered all over America. We lived in something like 11 cities before I was 12 years old. When Dad got out of the Air Force, we kind of dropped down into the poverty level of living. And, you know, when you're making do with secondhand clothes from the Salvation Army store, that kind of alters your perception of the world. And now I'm working with some of the most powerful men and women in the world. They're building monuments to their civilizations. They're creating places where the rest of the world is going to beat a path to come and be seen and do business.
Kuhn's reputation as a designer of mega projects was built on the colossal success of his first mall, Bluewater. Built in 1999 just outside London, England, Bluewater attracts 27 million visitors a year. It's the largest retail and leisure destination in Europe.
When we were asked to work on Bluewater, I gained an unbelievable appreciation of how powerful retail was. It is unstoppable. For me, retail is the way people personalize their lives. And in a world that's increasingly hostile and incomprehensible, and a chance for an individual to give meaning to their life through the clothes they wear, the way they dress their kids, the way they outfit their homes. It's such a powerful force.
Kuhn took what he learned at Bluewater and brought it to Dubai, an entire city devoted to tourism, leisure, and the luxury shopper.
The luxury customers have such an elevated and enlightened sense of the world as a place to visit and a place to shop. And what impressed us just in the decade we've been working here is how Dubai continues to service that super elite shopper and premium brand.
Paul Gaultier, we had Christian Lacroix, we had Christian Dior, and we had Fendi.
Brilliant.
In the haute couture kind of like, So this all add, of course, like, to the reputation of Dubai as attracting like world-class luxury events.
Elite visitors to Dubai, representing over 200 nationalities, seek out Kuhn's Bergman Gardens, which has one of the highest concentrations of luxury brands in the world.
جمعة الماضي معلم الصبح قمت بكير صحت لك على برجمان شو بدي اعمل نهار الأوف يعني اخذت فنجان قهوة الصبح كانت مرتي بعد عندها شغل قلت لها الحقيني الظهر اخذت فنجان قهوة لهيك رواق ما في حدا خلصت لقيت لي طلعنا غدينا فوق بالفود كورت بالجابينجو واخذنا البنت لعبناها شوي بالفود كورت على الاخر كمان كملنا هيك شوية شوبينج معلم طلعت بالساعة لقيتها 5 6 خلص النهار دورت رحت على البيت وقعدت ريلاكس شوية فيه يعني خلص النهار ما حسيت ومبسوط تسليت
كل شيء يعني عن جد نعمة من عند ربنا انه في مولات جامعة كل شيء يعني.
Dubai, there are more than 200 different nationalities. One time somebody asked me, what is the profile of your customer? I said, the only profile of my customer is a deep pocket, and a good taste, of good shopping,
Such success has landed Kuhn an even more ambitious contract. The new Dubai International Financial Center, a retail office and leisure mixed-use project, will be larger than 370 football fields stitched together.
You can see the scale of this project, and all of the future of Dubai is on an axis with the mall and the arcades that we're planning. This is the biggest experiment in the world today when it comes to retail, because it's all connected under one roof. Each one of 20 buildings is currently slated to be built here over the next 3 years. It'll create a population, a working population here, of nearly 60,000 people a day. But what stitches it into one cohesive whole is a collection of over 1 million square feet of retail and restaurants, cafes and service bureaus that make this a fully integrated city center.
Normally, such vast retail developments would evolve over decades, but here they seem to appear almost overnight. A ready supply of cheap migrant construction workers from all over Southeast Asia is fueling an unprecedented building boom. There's a great incentive for developers when the average construction wage is only 45 cents an hour. And when commercial developers foot the bill for urban renewal, the public purse is spared.
I just am in disbelief that we have this opportunity. I can't believe it.
Do you ever feel scared?
Scared, my God. Do I feel scared? Yeah. You can't do new things without fear being part of the mix. You know, I mean, Einstein made that famous comment that if we knew what we were doing, we wouldn't call it research. This is just continuing a tradition of aggressive belief and passionate belief about the future that Dubai, in our time, has picked up that baton and carrying it. And it'll pass the baton to Kazakhstan, which is next, and then on to India, and then on to China. This is going to continue to go forever and ever.
But not everyone wants to shop at the next newest mall in the global village. When we come back, the world's first anti-mall riot. Thousands of miles from the mall's birthplace in America, the shopping center is finding a new home. Only 10 years ago, India had no malls. But relaxed trade barriers have cleared the way for multinational brands to set up their stalls. Shopping centers are being created at a pace unmatched anywhere, anytime in history. All in pursuit of a new generation of shopping devotees. In homes and shops across India, a great debate about malls has been unleashed, often pitting young people's values against those of their parents.
Matter is, I'm not criticizing the mall. I'm not saying you don't come to malls. You come to malls, it's a nice place. But you want me to come here every time, as you are forcing me to come to the malls. I feel little uncomfortable because it's limited to only one layer of the society of our country.
I will definitely feel uncomfortable when I have to travel outside in the sunlight. There's so much of heat, you sweat all the day. आप अच्छी सी शर्ट पहन के बाहर निकलते हो and the moment you want to reach to a nice place, वो सारी sweat में खराब हो जाती है. That is why the malls are made ना centrally air conditioned.
Centrally air conditioned. एक बात सुनो बेटे. See, one should see what I prefer. One should remain with the nature. One should live with the nature. Okay. One should go with the nature.
Right.
I don't know why you are running after this air condition and all, and in the house also. Then again you ask for this air condition. I have come from the mall. I need AC in the house. Suppose I can't afford. Tell me.
While the new malls may offer creature comforts like air conditioning, 80% of the 12 million shops in India are small family businesses that have cultivated customers over decades. Labor activist Amarjit Kaur says the international retailers descending on India are in for a fight.
Everybody wants to go to a shopping mall for one time, for enjoyment and searching the rates and items quality, whatever. Yeah. Then came back to us. Good. Our prices are reasonable, our quality is best, Indian material is good, it's no doubt.
और जो हम कस्टमर को फैसिलिटी देते हैं, जो हम वैरायटी के अंदर कस्टमर को गारंटी देते हैं, क्या माल वाला गारंटी देता है, कभी गारंटी देता है।
ये इम्पोर्टेंट है।
हाँ जी, एक चीज़ माल से आप परचेज करके आएंगे, दूसरे दिन जाए वो रिटर्न नहीं करेगा, एडजस्टमेंट नहीं करेगा।
These shops do have quite a chunk of clientele. And shopping malls want more and more clientele, consumers. So they think that these shops must go. Otherwise, why they are having shopping mall? They are having shopping mall for more profits, more incomes.
In 2006, government officials in New Delhi began a campaign to close down 40,000 traditional businesses. They claimed these shops were illegal and at the root of urban chaos. But most of these shops were established 30, 40, or even 50 years ago, providing generations with jobs and stability. The many ma and pop stores are the backbone of India's middle class. Over several months, 13,000 shops were padlocked or demolished, though most had dutifully paid taxes for generations.
We are not this Western culture, we cannot tolerate it. This is Western style. These politicians are taking the money from the malls peoples and they want to set every shopkeeper will go there. How anybody will buy so expensive shops?
Shopkeepers and their customers took to the streets. The world's first anti-mall demonstrations resulted in riots that paralyzed the city for days.
Our wives, our children came on the road. We have agitated it.
And we confronted with the police also.
With them. We will not tolerate this. This is bloody gundagardi. They are not doing justice with the middle class people.
Yes.
They want to close all these shops. They are making only money.
By many countries, shopping mall culture is just a way of life. But in my country, it's in contrast a very fast process of pauperization, of not only poor becoming more poor, but of middle class going down the drain. Big architects coming, big builders coming, developing into. For them, it's sort of a business competition. Every latest shopping mall they will create, they will try to upgrade it from the previous one. Do they ever look at it? They give in contracting, subcontracting, subcontracting. But do they know who the people who labor for creating such big, huge buildings, what is happening to them? We have not yet solved the question of clear drinking water to almost 500 million people of India. We are yet to solve our problem for about 570 million people to give them sanitation.
Amarjeet says mall development harms both shopkeepers and laborers and wants shopkeepers to lead the resistance.
People learning very fast that they have to organize, they have to struggle.
लेकिन जैसे लड़े थे वैसे लड़ेंगे ना
लड़ेंगे ही जब लड़ेंगे तो लड़ेंगे ही जब वक्त आएगा तो लड़ लेंगे
Let the shopping mall owners understand. India is not that easy.
For now, government shop closures have subsided in Delhi as a result of the protests. But no one believes the fight is over. In spite of mass discontent and even violence, the malling of India is plowing forward. Wealthy South Asians long for the goods that Western countries already have. But as malls boom in densely populated third world countries, there's growing concern over the environmental toll. For environmentalist Vikram Soni, mall culture represents an enormous threat to India's fragile ecosystem.
You know, when you talk in India, there's a sort of idiomatic way of saying that, you know, this place used to be so uncivilized, there was nothing but jungle here. But now there's no jungle left in the country. You know, you can create waterfalls, you can create, you know, atriums, you can create a lot of things in the mall, but everybody knows that this is artificial, right? And sooner or later, it's going to catch up with you.
The Delhi Ridge Wilderness Preserve provides green space and renewable fresh water to the overpopulated and congested city. It will soon be home to Delhi's newest luxury mall. In spite of countless government assessments advocating total protection of the Delhi Ridge and protests from environmental activists, construction of the new mall will continue. Not only will a pristine water source be threatened, the new retail complex will itself consume vast amounts of water.
We cannot continue to think that this dynamism is now a constructive force. It's become a very destructive force in the planet. And we have to rein in and decide what we need. I don't know, it doesn't matter whether it's Versace or Gucci or whether it's a Sony television set. They are not what are the vital elements of life. We are going to knock off the environment faster than anybody ever did it.
But the promise of the mall remains an irresistible lure in developing countries. Mall makers believe it's time people in emerging economies were offered the same high-end luxury and leisure environments now enjoyed in the West. As new malls spring to life in India, North America provides a cautionary tale. In the life cycle of the shopping mall, dying days draw near. Not that long ago, malls embodied middle-class aspirations of security and continuous prosperity. Dying malls are reminders that once thriving communities can fail, even in a single generation. John Hollick, an accountant from Ohio, writes a eulogy for the mall he grew up with. Rolling Acres, a once hopping, state-of-the-art 70s mall, now falling into bankruptcy. It's like losing a piece of himself.
Rolling Acres opened August 6, 1975, with Sears and 21 other stores as a perfect example of mid-70s mall design. At the center was the Court of the 12 Trees, with its unique stainless steel and orange tile fountain surrounded by 12 Indian laurel trees. The mall was absolutely filled with natural light, from giant skylights and those soaring ceilings throughout. Wow. To a poor 11-year-old kid growing up in the depressed industrial town of Barberton, this was like a fantasy world.
The feelings that people had towards these malls were almost universal. They would say, my mall is dying, and this is where I spent my childhood, and now it's gone to rack and ruin. Our parents had downtowns that they went, and that's a place that they were able to express themselves and decide who they wanted to be. And for us, it was the mall.
There's a spirit to this mall. There's a soul here, and that spirit and soul will not allow this place to die.
Penny's has been here forever. I am so happy. Right next to them was a bank also.
I forget the name of those banks.
We have little people here, and it's the tenants, it's the people running the little restaurants. It's all a bunch of little people who are keeping a big dream alive.
The newest mall is safe until the next newest mall is built. The problem with that is it leaves a trail of malls behind.
People that came from Barberton and Norton, what are they going to do?
Well, we will be lost with something if this mall closes.
As mall rats mourn the passing of their malls and the failed promise of better times, can anyone save the North American mall?
This project is destined to be the best there is probably in the world.
I just love it.
Is there any way to breathe new life into the North American mall? Canadian mall maker Ruben Stahl thinks he's found the answer. Combine shopping with going green. 30 years after creating the West Edmonton Mall, Ruben Stahl is set to launch his newest creation, the largest environmentally themed retail project in the world.
14 million feet, 331 acres. It's the first environmentally sensitive project, not only in North America, probably the world of this magnitude.
Rubin has faith that the Megamall will be a draw for millions of people. Big spenders seeking serenity in an eco-friendly spa and shopping paradise.
Green. In other words, it's green.
Lac Mirabel describes itself as a state-of-the-art retail shopping complex constructed in harmony with its surroundings. The land is considered environmentally sensitive, and it's taken years for Rubin and his partners to satisfy stringent development requirements.
If you're building something great, there are always obstacles. You know, nothing happens overnight. Obstacles were wetlands, which are, you know, government very sensitive to wetlands today, and we had to work around it.
Right now, Rubin's dream looks more like a clear cut. But if you're going to dream, you might as well dream big.
They were ready to stop this mall. But what we did is we kept the wetlands, worked around it, and made things that are just incredible. What you see here are 2.5 to 3 kilometer trout streams. These are all man-made, by the way, that go through all the area down into this lake where they spawn. It was starting with 20,000 trout. The people living here can actually go to their condo, put a rod into and catch a trout and come home and eat it. So now we have to go and find people who can actually design and build these streams, get the algae out and toxic waste out and to maintain them. These are all man-made, by the way.
And if you're going to bring the great outdoors indoors, there's no better place to go for inspiration than America's largest sporting goods store, Cabela's. Rubin wants to lure the hugely popular American retailer to his mall.
Tell you what, with this outfit, you can get lost in the forest. Nobody would know you're not a tree. It's beautiful.
How many Cabela's have you been to right now?
Me?
Visiting, yeah.
Oh, no, this is the only one. I'm building one that's like this in Canada. In our project, I think we're going to have an entire Serengeti type of... You have that here?
We do. It's the African diorama is in all the Cabela's, and some stores even have it where when they have Santa Claus come to the store, that's where they set Santa. Kind of a unique photo opportunity. On a Saturday, we'll get about 12,000 transactions. On a busy Saturday, we'll get about 15 to 20,000, depending on the events going on.
15 to 20,000 transactions. Man, that is awesome. I can't wait to open. Oh.
This is a double rifle. Yeah. We use for large African game. You would use this on, say, rhino.
On a rhino or elephant?
An elephant.
Wow. $14,000. I mean, you can actually blow a rhino down or an elephant. You know, this is unbelievable.
This is a Colt M4. A lot of fun to shoot. Real easy to get good at in a hurry.
What do you shoot with this?
223.
223. What type of animals?
Not animals. This is made for humans.
For humans.
Here in Arizona, this is the second most popular tourist attraction to only the Grand Canyon.
Can you imagine? And the Grand Canyon is one of the 8 wonders of the world. So this is the second largest tourist attraction. Can you imagine what this is going to do in Quebec? My God. Far in there, right? Look at that.
And that big one was
More? Look at him go. That is something fantastic. If you were in the Grand Canyon, this would be part of it. This elephant is real.
The elephant is real.
Is that great or what? Al Gore is right. These animals should be preserved somehow, and look how beautiful that is. You know what? I will have Al Gore come to our projects. Somehow he will be there to talk about our project that is environmentally sensitive.
Can Rubin, with or without the help of Al Gore, save the North American shopping mall? What began as a utopian ideal, a perfect climate-controlled haven for shopping and leisure, gave way to the reality of America's car-centered culture. Today's mall makers have an even grander vision, building shopping centers on the scale of new city-states.
When we go build in places like Korea or China or Kuala Lumpur, for instance, or the Middle East, Central Asia or Europe, it's not the disease of the American shopping mall, which is an antiquated experience. It's about trying to recapture the spirit of what those communities were like.
Come on, man! He walks the walk. Even when I try to do a porn star walk, I still look like a leprechaun. He talks the talk. Perhaps I'm telling you too much, am I?
And this fall, he's got a brand new series on CBC.
There seems to be a connection here, right?
So we're bringing you some of his classics, you know, to get you in the mood.
Why, thank you.
Ron James, Quest for the West, Friday at 8 on CBC.
Smile and say millions.
On the next Wild Roses.
You need to get in bed with someone with experience.
A secret partner, an unusual alliance, could change everything.
You never really know who your friends are.
Or your enemies.
Wild Roses, Friday at 9 on CBC. The world's best hit the court. CBC serves up exclusive championship coverage of Canada's premier tennis event from Toronto. Rogers Cup on CBC. Women's semifinals. Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Another